Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to an old friend and one of my favourite people, Lesley Joseph. How are you?
Hey, I'm all right. I'm sitting in a very tight costume, bursting out all over at the moment.
You look delicious. I mean, this is marvellous, isn't it? This is, I suppose, your spiritual home in a way. This is where the punters love to see you. We just saw you in Calendar Girls, you're going into Annie, but we love to see you in Panto.
I did. I mean, my first pantomime here, I think, was in 1991, way back with John Nettles in Dick Whittington. And that was an amazing experience, and I've been coming here on and off ever since, doing not just Panto but doing lots of shows. But I love this theatre. It's a really fantastic theatre. And
of course it's a big year for the theatre. It's renovated. It's the biggest Panto in Britain, which must mean you're one of the biggest stars.
Well, I don't know about that, but I feel one of the biggest stars at the moment, bursting out my dress. This is radio, so you can't see what he's looking at, but...
Oh no, we've got a camera, love, we can.
Oh yes, you can. What's wonderful for me here, I love pantomime. So when you come to somewhere like Birmingham, you've got the sets, you've got the costumes, you've got really fantastic things to look at. And this is a great cast this year, it really is. So it's going to be a real goodie.
And just when you thought it was strong, it just got stronger, adding in Jack, who of course is a star of the Palladium, Joseph. His voice is just incredible.
I just loved that production of that show. Absolutely adored it. What's so interesting is you can take a show that's been around for years and you can inject new life into it, and it's suddenly like, oh my goodness, it's like you've never seen it before, and it just reminds you how wonderful it is. But you see, I love going to the theatre. I love doing pantomime because you can bring the whole family to the theatre. I think there's nothing like live theatre. I think it's just a lifeblood. For me, it is.
And you in this part, of course, is tricky because you get booed, but is that the most fun?
I love it. It's much more fun. The thing is, I'm not very good at playing good. You don't really cast me as good. Even if I do Cinderella as fairy godmother, there's still a little bit of, oh God, come on, move it on, I'm bored. You know, of she wants things to go her way. So there's still a little bit of edge to her because I'm just not somebody that's, you know, like all cute, and I can't do that. So, and that's not the character I was best known for, like with Dorian. So I always try and give it an edge. But I love Snow White because she's a real... I'm covering myself up now, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a bit late for that, though.
I know, it's a little bit late, but at least I can end with dignity. The thing is that Snow White is she's such a baddie, and she comes to no good at the end. So you can really have that. But, you know, you can sing, you can dance, you can do everything, you can act, it's almost like stand-up in that, because if somebody shouts something out, then you can go bounce off them. It's like stand-up. And I love working with Matt Slack. We've worked together a lot.
And they've given you the Palladium production this year, which is just beautiful. Last year there it was, and you're in the lead role in it. Is it exciting to be in something on this scale? Because let's face it now, tours are struggling, selling tickets is tough, but this one is still a mega sellout, earning millions and millions of pounds every year.
I don't think about that. That to me is, you know, if tickets sell, they sell, and I love to play to a full house. But, you know, so many things I do. Nearly every show I do because I want to do it. So you go into Young Frankenstein and you think, oh my goodness, I'm working with Mel Brooks in the Garrick in the West End. And that is like, you go into Calendar Girls and it's glorious to do that show because you're working with people who can really do it. So every show has its merits. I love pantomime. And you could be here or you could be in a much smaller one. You adjust it to according to the theatre. If you do a smaller version, you're in a smaller theatre, you're still communicating with an audience. So that's what I bounce off. And yes, it's wonderful to be in this production because it will be mega. But it doesn't mean that anything less big is any less enjoyable. For me, it's the show and it's working with the audience and the people on stage that I love.
I first interviewed you over 20 years ago in Nottingham. I think you were in Annie back then and you're just about to return to it. And I saw you in Newcastle in Young Frankenstein, and your energy is formidable just recently in Calendar Girls 2. You still love it, don't you? You still get out of bed in the morning wanting to entertain.
I absolutely love it, and I think that keeps me young. I mean, I'm as fit as I've ever been. My mother died when she was nearly 104, and she was still doing yoga and stuff in her 90s, still playing tennis. You know, I, on the day that I go on a stage and think, oh, I'm bored, is when I'll give it up, but that will never happen. Because my mother always said I was born in a trunk, you know, wanted to do it from the age of 4. So as far as I'm concerned, I love what I do. I don't accept jobs if I don't want to do them or if they're not good. And yes, Calendar Girls was lovely. Annie is glorious. And Panto with Matt and Joe and everybody here on the Birmingham stage is going to just be absolutely mega. So I'm really excited by that.
Matt Slack is quite something, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. We call each other mother and son because we've worked together in Panto quite a bit, and in Hot Flush we worked together as well. And on that we did what I call going off piste, where, and that's the thing with Panto. When you work with people who can do it, and it is an art, and people are suddenly starting to realise that Panto Performance, it's a real art, because you have to drive the story. You have to know that, yes, you can do all the comedy, but you have to know when the comedy hovers and starts to come to an end, that you have to pull it in, push it on, and that's what Matt and I do well together. I love working with Matt. I absolutely love working with my son. So, and yes, he's wonderful, and I'm glad people are appreciating just how good he is.
A stunning performer, and again, your ethic. He turns up and delivers, even if he's tired, even if he can't be bothered. It's 100% or nothing, and I love that. Yeah. We, of course, fell in love with you after Birds. What was it, 450 years ago now?
30 years.
Any chance we'll see it again? Because it came back and it was very, very successful.
I never say never. This year, everybody was too busy. I don't know. Maybe next year. Who knows? I always say maybe, maybe not. I never close the door on anything. Close every door to me. That's going into our wonderful Joseph, who's playing our Prince.
And I've suggested the Seven Dwarfs should come out from under his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yeah, you could do that.
I did warm up with Loose Women for a while and worked with Linda, who we love again from Birds.
Yeah.
How's she doing? We haven't seen much of her this year.
I don't know. I haven't seen much of her either because I've been on the road. But she's doing fine.
She's great. And we want to see that back because, again, the chemistry between you three is wonderful. And to see you on a stage is magical.
But do you know what? I will say there's so much else I still want to do. And I am getting older. And I just think there's a lot else I want to achieve.
Lesley, stop it. You're in Calendar Girls. 3 days later, you're in Annie. Now you're coming into Panto. You're going back into Annie before that. I think you're busy enough, actually. You're doing fine.
Yeah, but, there's a lot. I'd love to go to the National. I'd love to do Chekhov. I'd love to do a bit more drama. I'd love to go back into Shakespeare. There's a lot in me I've still got to do. Sorry about that.
You are phenomenally talented, and more importantly, we love you very much. We can see you this year in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs at the Birmingham Hippodrome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, as you know.